So when it's time to do our bustle, we have a 5-point bustle. We are going to have 2 French bustles that are going to go underneath. That'll be just here on the satin layer. And then we have 3 that are outside. The one down the center seam is actually going to have all of the layers together. So that will include this satin. And then the outer 2 are just going to be the tulle and chiffon layers. So what we're going to do first is we're going to look under the train, and you can see here that we have 2 different colors of ribbon. The gray will get bustled to the gray here, and then the teal will get bustled to the teal. So I'm just going to start here on this side. When you bustle this, you do want to make sure that these ends right here are meeting without any of this fabric bunched up in there. So it just kind of goes away right there. So we're going to tie that into a bow on the day of your wedding. You can tie it into a knot, but these ribbons are pretty strong, so you really shouldn't have to worry about those ones too much. So we did the gray side. Now we're going to come over here and get the other side. Again, our ends are going to meet. All of that fabric we want pushed to the side. And there we go. Just tie that into a bow. If you really want to be secure, you can definitely tie that in a knot. So that is the underlayer, and that just kind of gets that up out of the way. Like I said before, the center one right here is going to have all of those layers. So if you're looking under the train, you can see this organza ribbon with this little button behind it. If you grab onto that, it's going to take you to the very front of the fabric where you may be able to see that little shimmer of that ribbon right there. That is what we're going to pull out. It's going to have this little loop. So there's our little loop. All the way up here, kind of next to the waistline, you're going to see on each side this little knot. There's one there, and then there's one on the other side. We're going to pull those out. They're going to be little strings here. There's a button behind for strength, so when it stops, that button's hitting, so it's not going to come through all the way that way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to tie this center loop up here. When you tie that through, you really want this loop to be up as high as it can go. So this ribbon really needs to be up high. One of my favorite ways to do this on both sides of the zipper is we take this string and it comes through one way and the other string goes through the other direction. That way when we're tying this up, it gets it centered along the zipper right there. So if you have a second set of hands, Teresa, will you hold the weight of this for me? Absolutely. You can hold it down here. Okay. It just kind of helps it so that fabric isn't hanging on that and I can get this up as high as I need. So we're going to tie this into a bow. Day of the wedding, you can go ahead and tie that into a knot. But don't do that if you practice because that is going to be a pain to get undone. So we're just going to go ahead and let that down now. These ribbons will actually get twisted and put back through that ribbon loop so that they hang behind instead of coming in front of that. So the last thing is we just have 2 more bustle points. When you look here along this side of the dress, there is one seam that comes down through here and one on the opposite side right here. Along that seam, along the bottom of the waist, you're going to see these little silver hooks. There's one here, and then there's one on the opposite side. Down that seam a little farther, you can kind of see where this is it dips in. That's where we have another one of those ribbons. If you feel like you're getting lost, you can look under all of those layers. And again, there's our little string and our button. And then you're going to pull that out into a loop, just like the center one that we did. This one's a really small loop. There we go. And it's going to just go right on top of that little hook. There we go. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You can kind of pull on that a little bit and see where it dips, or you can go under. I see it, so I'm just going to come here and pull up that little loop here, and then come up here to this hook. And there we go. So all we have to do now is just fluff the train again. As she's dancing and walking, it's going to do whatever it wants. They have their own mind, but if you get pictures taken at cake cutting, you'll just come down and just smooth everything back out and let the center of the train come forward. So there is our bustle.